Let's talk about weight loss. Let's talk about significant weight loss. And even if you don't have 100 pounds to lose, say you've got 10, or maybe you've got 20, or somewhere in between 20 and 100, stick around because there is inevitably a message here that will also apply to you. I'm Debra Atkinson. I'm the founder of Flipping 50, and I'm the best-selling author of You Still Got It, Girl, and other titles. My client, Jennifer, came to me in her early 60s, just tipping the scale at 60, and wanted to lose weight, a significant amount of weight. She wanted to lose 100 pounds. She was already on that weight loss journey, but here's what she was doing. I'm going to break down for you the mistakes she was making, how we changed them, and what the difference was between when she started and when she actually was able to lose weight, and how if you, my friends, have lost weight and then sabotaged yourself when it was going well, not when it's not going well, because a lot of people will assume that you sabotage yourself on your weight loss journey. But the truth is, the most of the self sabotage that occurs actually occurs when it's going well, when you've had good results. And it's that fear of keeping it or something that pulls you back down into old habits. And that we're going to talk about. So if you struggle with the mindset of what it is that you really need to do instead of what the dogma tells you that you need to do, this is for you. I'm going to keep it as short as possible. So here are the mistakes that Jennifer was making. When we first met, here's what she was trying to do, and her weight was hovering around 260 pounds. She had already come down. So I want you to realize where we were at. So, larger sized person, right? And on her feet during her work. So, she was still employed at the time, still working. And her work, unlike many of us who sit all day, was on her feet. So, her exercise regime looked like this. She was exercising 2 to 4 hours a day. She was taking really long walks, up to about 2 hours. And she would sometimes do that early before work and after work. Now, she lives in a northern climate. So when it was dark when she went to work and dark when she went home, she probably wasn't walking both those days. But when the weather was good and conducive, she was getting more exercise, and especially on her days off. So I think we can all relate. We've all probably over exercised or at least beat ourselves up for not exercising more because we think that's the solution. Psst, it's not. Exercise, and I'll be the first to tell you, and it's probably the biggest surprise because I'm a fitness professional. Exercise is not really the key to losing weight. It's not about the calories that you burn. It's about what those calories that you're burning, what that does to your hormones. And if we burn more calories, but we end up throwing your cortisol under the bus and help your adrenals be more fatigued, we're not going to help you in the end, number one, feel good ever. You're going to feel terrible on the way to doing it, and you're going to feel terrible when you arrive. You should feel good while you're exercising if you're in your sweet spot. That's going to actually help you take weight off and keep it off. That's simple. And we don't always get it. And I know it. So here's what I want you to think about. She was exercising 2 to 4 hours a day and on her feet most of the time. When we first met 10 years ago, she was in a boot because she had a fracture on her foot. So a large size woman walking on her feet a lot at work, then walking an additional purposely walking 2 hours a day to sometimes hours a day. That's a lot. Stop it. So a large size woman, 260 pounds on her feet all day at work, and then walking, intentionally walking with at least 2 hours a day, maybe four on some days. That's a lot of stress in small bones in your foot. If you're on your feet all day at work, you're 250 or 60 pounds, you're a larger size person, and you're intentionally exercising again on your feet. Now, had she been exercising and maybe on an elliptical or a rowing machine, even better, or a bike, even better, or swimming, potentially we wouldn't have had that stress fracture. But would it still have been too much exercise? Probably so. The other thing that you have to consider that may be leading to something like a stress fracture is Your body needs micronutrients. And if you're decreasing your caloric intake as much as she wasn't getting those nutrients that we need, not just the carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Those are macronutrients, but the vitamins and the minerals inside of those foods that we should be eating. Here's what Jennifer was doing. So while she was over exercising, she was eating sometimes less than 1,000 calories a day. And that was probably a conservative estimate of the caloric deficit she was getting. There were times she was actually eating 800 or fewer calories. Now, some of that might have been under doctor's supervision, but the majority of that is once somebody's opened the floodgate to that and you get that diet mentality, what do? We do an escalation, and that term, if you're familiar with addiction, is when you use drugs. You can use a certain amount and then it won't do it for you. Alcohol may be the same way. If you don't drink at all, having a drink is like, woo, right? And if you're used to drinking, it's probably going to take a certain level more than you're used to. Same as caffeine, right? So if you're not used to having any caffeine and you have some, it's like bouncing off the walls. But if you're used to a couple of cups, it may take more, and or you just may not get that sharp reaction that you used to. So escalation with exercise is when we say, well, I did 2 hours yesterday. So if I don't do at least 2 hours today, then it really doesn't count. I didn't do anything. We do that to ourselves. So think about it, be honest, and clarify for yourself if that's true. Here's the way athletes, Olympic athletes, and you and I also actually do better and perform better. They go hard sometimes, and sometimes they go purposefully very light. It's called a recovery workout. Some workouts are recovery, some workouts require recovery. And the key is we need to know when I do a hard one, there should probably be a day or two of recovery workouts that happen between so I can go hard again. Because otherwise, pretty soon we'll go hard, and we'll be in a boot just like Jennifer with an injury. So we want to make sure that we're doing things wisely. So she had a caloric deficit, meaning when you weigh about 260 pounds, your basal metabolism, that's resting metabolic rate, is probably about at least 2,000 calories just to sustain you breathing in, breathing out all day, no exercise. And she was active, very active. So she was eating at least 50% less than she needed just to live and survive, and probably more than that, maybe 70% less than she needed to accommodate the exercise and activity she was doing. You know what your body does when you do that big of a gap is it says, stop it. Right now, I'm going to conserve energy, and I'm going to make it really hard for you to want to exercise. I'm going to make you more tired, more lethargic. And when you do exercise, I'm going to still burn fewer calories. It backfires on us. So your metabolism will be slowed if you put one foot on the brake, which is eating fewer calories, and one foot on the accelerator, which is exercising. Think about doing that inside of your car. What would happen? You're going to burn your motor up. So you essentially are the motor that's burning out. And eventually it showed up in Jennifer. And not only the boot she had a fracture, but she also was frequently sick. Most of us are exercising to be healthier. And if you're exercising in your sweet spot, you should be the one sick almost never, right? You're the one who never gets sick when everybody else does because your immune system is boosted if you're in your sweet spot. If it's sabotaged, just because you're probably doing too much too soon and never recovering between. Important consideration. Here's the other way that Jennifer wasn't recovering and may have contributed to the fracture and the ill attempt at weight loss. She wasn't losing weight. And that was she wasn't sleeping. Number one, she wasn't prioritizing sleep. And part of that was she had insomnia when she did go to bed. So it was a negative situation. As much as she wanted to go to sleep and she was tired, if she went to bed, she would not sleep very well. Some of you can relate to that. Now, if you're in menopause and you're waking up with night sweats, hot flashes, and not able to sleep, that's one thing. There are some things you can do to support that, but I'm not going to go into that yet. If you have questions, drop them below and I'll talk about it later. But we had to get her first to prioritize her sleep and realize if you're exercising that much, Your body needs to rest and repair. And during deep cycles of sleep, that's when that happens. We help decrease your cortisol level because if your cortisol is high, it is breaking down muscle. It's a catabolic hormone to muscle. And we want to release testosterone and growth hormone in deep cycles of sleep. So you've got to be getting to that REM sleep on your Fitbit, or you're not getting testosterone and growth hormone, and they help boost muscle. So we can see muscle tone from the exercise that you are doing and the protein, hopefully, that you're also eating. Those things are really important. Now, here's another mistake Jennifer was making. Walking was her thing. That was it. She wasn't doing anything else. She's on her feet all day, so she had movement. She had that base covered, but she was doing zero strength training. Never had. We started strength training. And we took a part of that cardio and said, okay, we're going to put it over here. We're going to spend that time and energy doing strength training. We didn't double or add to what she was doing. We said, okay, no, we're going to push some of that over here. Once we had her doing that, I actually put in rest days. She was exercising 7 days a week. So we put in one. She panicked a little bit. We got through that. Later, we added a second. So she now completely has a rest day, no formal exercise, no lifting, no high intensity interval training on Mondays and on Saturdays. And those are the days right before Sunday, which is we let her have one longer, slower day. And we don't do anything like 2 hours anymore, ever. But we might have her do something like go for a run. She enjoys that, and do strength training on the same day. When you put two things back to back, even if one is cardio and one is strength, it still can become endurance to your body. So the longer your session is, the more taxing it is, the more your cortisol may in fact go up. So we have to be careful about that. And we do watch everything we do. We watch what's a percent of muscle mass right now, percent body fat. And those things are key to knowing here are the results we're getting from what it is we're doing right now. And if it's not working, let's pull back right now and change it up. So, eating too little, exercising too much, not sleeping, and not lifting weights as a part of that exercise changed all of it. She's eating more than twice as much as she used to. She is exercising less than half as much as she used to. She's sleeping. She's getting in the scores like the 90s for her sleep. And here's how we did it for her. We did everything possible that we could by adjusting her bedtime earlier, just by small increments so she would barely notice, but she got more sleep. We changed her early morning wake up call. She was getting up to drive an hour and a half to a gym that she used to like when she lived somewhere else. I said, no, there are gyms all over the place. We're going to change that. So we got her another hour of sleep just by moving her gym and where she exercised. That was helpful. So now she's got 8 hours of sleep most nights in the 90s. She knows life so much happier, so much better right now. And those things are so, so important for you to realize that this is just an absolute must if you're going to get good results from your exercise. Sleep is when you seal the deal from the exercise, you get the hormones functioning that need to, and you're not sabotaging yourself for the next day. If you don't sleep, your cortisol is off and your energy is off and your reaction skills are off, such that if you do exercise, you may be more likely to get hurt. And those things are really going to be deliberately sabotaging you. So we've got to get the sleep that's high priority. Strength training, and not strength training more days a week. It takes two high quality strength training. Jennifer is a I like more is better person. So we compromised. She does two heavier strength training days a week, and she does one functional strength training. So we're getting her to do some things with rotation, flexion, and extension and balance and one-legged work so she can continue to move and gain strength and not sabotage herself by getting overly tired. Her workouts, nowhere close to even 2 hours. They're taking less than an hour most days, sometimes less than 30 minutes. It's just high quality, not high quantity, not high volume on days or time, but high number of sets, lower number of reps, higher weight when she's lifting, and her metabolism is so much better. All of that super key for weight loss, whether you have 10 pounds, 20 pounds, or you're wanting to lose 100 pounds. You can do this. It can happen. Don't let anybody tell you that your metabolism is wrecked or it's too slow or you did damage or you can't do this. You absolutely can. Put your questions down below. I hope that has been helpful. And as we turn the corner on this time of year when everybody is thinking, I want to diet, I want to be better, I want my body composition to be better, I want to start exercising, think about the real role of exercise is it is a catalyst to doing other good habits during the day. For a lot of us, it's a mood booster. We feel good, we feel better about ourselves. We're going to make better choices at every meal. We're probably going to sleep better and be more ready for going to bed when we do. But you also will function and fire better. You'll be more creative, and all of those things are good. Nobody's going to argue with you if you're in a better mood. All right. Let me know what your questions are. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.